Napoleon Bonaparte is one of the most powerful, controversial, and influential figures in world history. Known as Emperor of France, feared by kings, admired by soldiers, and studied by generals even today, Napoleon did far more than conquer land. He transformed how wars were fought, how armies were organized, and how power itself was understood. His legacy reaches far beyond battlefields, shaping modern warfare, law, leadership, and national identity across continents. Born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, Napoleon came from modest beginnings. His family was not wealthy nor deeply influential, yet his early life revealed signs of extraordinary discipline and ambition. Educated in French military schools, Napoleon excelled in artillery, a field requiring mathematics, precision, and spatial awareness. These skills would later define his battlefield genius. While others relied on tradition, Napoleon relied on calculation, speed, and decisive action. The French Revolution changed everything. As the monarchy collapsed and chaos swept France, old hierarchies crumbled. This moment created space for talent to rise over birth. Napoleon seized this opportunity. He supported the revolution's ideals while mastering the realities of war. When France faced invasion from European monarchies determined to crush revolutionary ideas, Napoleon emerged as a commander who delivered victories when defeat seemed certain. His early campaigns in Italy shocked Europe. Outnumbered and under-resourced, Napoleon defeated larger armies through rapid movement, surprise attacks, and precise coordination. He divided enemy forces, struck their weakest points, and destroyed their morale. These victories were not accidents. They reflected a new way of thinking about warfare. Napoleon understood that wars were not won solely by size, but by speed, intelligence, and psychological pressure. Napoleon reorganized the army into corps, self-contained units capable of independent action. This innovation allowed armies to move faster, live off the land, and respond flexibly to changing conditions. It marked a dramatic break from rigid formations of earlier centuries. Modern maneuver warfare, operational planning, and mobile command structures trace their origins directly to Napoleon's reforms. In 1799, Napoleon seized power in a coup, presenting himself as the stabilizing force France needed after years of revolution and terror. In 1804, he crowned himself emperor, not to restore monarchy, but to legitimize authority earned through achievement. This act symbolized his belief that power should be seized by ability, not inherited by bloodline. As emperor, Napoleon reshaped France internally. He reformed education, modernized taxation, centralized administration, and introduced the Napoleonic Code, a legal system that emphasized equality before the law, protection of property, and secular governance. This code became one of his most lasting achievements, influencing legal systems across Europe, Latin America, and beyond. Even today, elements of modern civil law reflect Napoleonic principles. On the battlefield, Napoleon's dominance was unmatched for over a decade. His victory at Austerlitz in 1805 stands as one of the greatest tactical masterpieces in history. Facing two empires, Napoleon deliberately appeared weak, luring enemy forces into a vulnerable position before launching a devastating counterattack. This battle demonstrated his mastery of deception, terrain, timing, and command. Napoleon also understood the power of symbolism and morale. He inspired fierce loyalty among his soldiers, often sharing hardships with them and rewarding merit regardless of background. For many, he represented opportunity, national pride, and purpose. His armies marched not just for conquest, but for identity and belief, an early form of mass national warfare. However, Napoleon's ambition continued to grow. As his empire expanded across Europe, resistance intensified. Occupied territories developed strong nationalist movements, fueled by resentment and cultural pride. Napoleon underestimated the power of identity and local resistance. His attempt to enforce dominance through control began to erode his support. The turning point came with the invasion of Russia in 1812. Confident from years of victory, Napoleon led the largest army Europe had ever seen into Russian territory. Yet the campaign proved disastrous. Harsh weather, stretched supply lines, scorched earth tactics, and relentless attrition destroyed the Grand Army. What began as a show of strength ended as a catastrophic retreat that shattered Napoleon's military dominance. Following defeats across Europe, Napoleon was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the island of Elba. Yet his story was not finished. In one of history's most dramatic returns, he escaped exile and reclaimed power for a brief period known as the 100 Days. His final stand came at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. At Waterloo, multiple factors sealed his fate: Poor weather delayed attacks, miscommunication weakened coordination, and determined opposition held firm. Napoleon was defeated decisively. This time, there would be no return. He was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena, far from Europe, where he would spend the rest of his life. In exile, Napoleon reflected deeply on his legacy. He dictated memoirs, shaping how history would remember him. He saw himself as a man of destiny, betrayed by fate rather than defeated by failure. Yet history views him more complexly, as both visionary and cautionary figure. Napoleon's influence did not die with him. His military doctrines continued to shape warfare for centuries. Modern armies adopted his emphasis on logistics, planning, speed, and decisive engagement. Command staffs, operational art, and the coordination of large forces all reflect Napoleonic thinking. Military academies across the world still study his campaigns, not to glorify war, but to understand leadership under pressure. Politically, Napoleon reshaped Europe. His wars dismantled old feudal structures, weakened empires, and accelerated the rise of nationalism. The Congress of Vienna attempted to restore balance after his fall, but the world had changed irreversibly. Ideas of citizenship, law, and centralized governance had taken root and could not be erased. Napoleon remains one of history's greatest contradictions. He championed equality, yet crowned himself emperor. He spread revolutionary ideals while ruling with authoritarian control. He brought reform and destruction in equal measure. His life shows how innovation and ambition can uplift nations, and also how unchecked power can devastate them. More than 2 centuries later, Napoleon is still studied, debated, and reinterpreted. He is remembered not only for battles won or lost, but for how he forced the world to adapt to a new age. He demonstrated that individuals can reshape history, but also that no one escapes the consequences of ambition. Napoleon Bonaparte did not merely participate in history, he redirected it. He transformed warfare, redefined leadership, and left a legacy that continues to influence law, military strategy, and political thought. Few figures have shaped the modern world so profoundly, and fewer still remain so deeply contested. Was Napoleon Bonaparte a visionary genius, or a warning about power without limits? If remembering hidden history matters, like, share, and subscribe.